Morning, Tim.
Morning, Fred. How you doing?
Good. It's Friday, thank goodness. Another crazy week in the world.
Hurricane has passed.
Yeah,
Markets. I know. Usually Fridays, people are a little scared because of Israel and whether or
yeah.
not they're going to hit Iran. But market's not seeing it today. Just
Uh,
rallying.
I just looked at JP Morgan beat expectations.
Hmm.
Stocks up $10. Gold is way up again, so maybe people are a little nervous. The energy sector is back up again. I was looking at XLE, that's back up.
It was
So,
down a little bit. Oil's down a little bit.
well,
Gold up.
oil is down, but I'm saying the
Yeah.
XLE, the ETF. Let me
Yeah.
see. Hang on one second. No, I was just looking at it.
So oil up and energy down today. The reason the banks are doing so well is net interest income.
Right,
The steeper curve is helping the banks.
right. Yeah, XLE is up 60 cents. So it's
Yep.
coming along.
And the curve continues to steepen.
Yeah,
10-year at 411. I mean, that's the trade, and it's been the trade, and it's going to be the trade going forward.
you got to set yourself up for inflation.
Yeah.
That's it. It's
And the
not
other
going
thing is
away.
the markets are starting, well, I think they've thrown out the 50 basis point hope, and now they're looking at 25.
Right. Uh, CPI up 0.2 yesterday, so that's adding to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that everybody feels that Fed went too far too fast. Well,
What do you think of the
not too
dollar here?
fast. Um, I'm reading a lot of articles about Europe's in worse shape than we are, and is the term you phrased before, the best horse in the glue factory. I'm
Yeah.
not sold on it. I think after the election, the dollar gets hit one way or the other. Um, that's my personal opinion. I have nothing else to back it on. I have no skin in the game. So,
I'll posit one possibility here. I think they hit the dollar when the Fed cut 50 basis points, and when yields backed up in their face, they bought it. Now, having
mm,
said that, you got higher yields, but the auctions, they had a 3 year auction that was abysmal. It tailed up, it was really bad, and there were virtually no foreign buyers. So that could be something to watch going forward, whether or not there's going to be demand for treasuries. And that hits you both ways. You get higher rates to finance the debt.
yeah.
So that's it.
So,
Uh,
yeah, that's all the market talk we got. Stay with the same, fundamentals, inflation trades, twists in the yield curve, and that's that. But we've gotten a lot of positive response on our market comments and stories from way back when. So,
there are so many stories,
as one good friend said, you'll never run out of material. All the characters.
It was every day for 30 years. Every time you went in the office, there was new. Uh, Richie had sent us a Dick Lane story,
Right.
and I mean, I worked with him. He
That was
was
the phone
amazing.
booth story, right? The phone booth story was
No, that
classic.
was me. That was
That
me.
was you.
I was the phone booth. I sent Mahoney down to the phone booth on 60th in Madison, and I had him tape two $1 bills, one stuck in the coin slot, and one taped to the roof of the coin booth. It was a, it wasn't just a coin; it was a booth, an actual
Right.
booth. So we would call, and he got the number, and we would ring the phone, and people would come by and answer the phone. And this one guy answered the phone, and I said, "Hi, this is what was the K Rock? KRK was
Yeah.
the rock station."
Right.
I told him it was KRK 92.3 K Rock. K
Right.
Rock it was. And I said, there's three $1 bills on, around, or within a 20-foot vicinity of the phone book. If you find all three, you win $9,200 for 92.3 K Rock. So he starts screaming to his friend, Calvin, Calvin. So the first thing he opens is the coin slot. He sees the dollar bill. I found a dollar. I found a dollar. I said, all right, what's the serial number? He reads me the serial number. He says, okay, you got one. There's two more. There's only one more, but he doesn't know that. So he's looking all over the place. His friend boosts him up. He looks on top. He finds the one taped on top. He reads me the serial. Now he's going wild. He's going absolutely crazy. And I'm trying to get him to climb the the the, the
The pole, the
phone.
telephone.
Yeah, because it was around Christmas time and they had a Christmas tree up on a pole. And I said, where do you usually find Christmas presents? Under the Christmas tree, right? Do you see a Christmas tree? I can't get him to climb the pole. But he does crawl underneath the FedEx truck and look at the FedEx truck. And we're watching all this from the third floor of 60th and Madison. It was priceless. It was priceless.
That was
It-
a derivation on the other one that you did. You called the phone booth and you said to the guy, you see that guy over there with the suitcase, with the briefcase?
That was a phone booth in front of Battery Park.
Right.
We would look out of 11 Broadway over the Battery Tunnel into Battery Park. And there was a couple of things with that phone booth because, first of all, the phone booth was near the parking lot, this big parking lot. So we would pick out a car and make bets and put odds on whether or not I could get the guy to move the car. And I'd call and tell him I had to go to Chicago, and I'd tell him a story and see if I could get to move the black Pontiac. So all the way in the back, and we'd be watching. We started a pool whether or not I could do it. But the other one was the classic. This guy answers the phone booth in front of Battery Park, and it was right by the Western Union building. So I said, "Is this the phone booth in front of Western Union?" He says, "Yeah." I says, "Look, my partner's on his way to Chicago, and he forgot his presentation. And can you stop him?" He said, "Well, how do I know what he looks like?" I said, "Well, he's wearing a brown jacket, and he's got a black attaché case, and I'm looking at a guy with a brown jacket, khaki pants, and I'm walking towards him." So he grabs a hold of the guy, and he starts pulling him over the phone booth, and I'm watching all this. Everybody's lined up on the window watching this. So he pulled the guy to the phone booth, and he says, "Yeah, this guy wants to talk to you." So he gives the guy the phone. And I says, "Yeah." I says, yes, can I help you?" He says, What do you mean? This guy just pulled me over. You said you wanted to talk to me. So I have no idea what you're talking about. Some guy just called me up, said you want to talk to me. What do you want? I'm busy. He said, "What are you talking about?" And they get into a big argument, these two guys. That was a classic.
Yeah, that happened to me. I mean, something similar happened to me. Walking on the village after being out one night with a bunch of brokers and dealers, and all feeling pretty jolly. And I forget where we were in the village, but there was a phone booth, and it was July day. The windows were open, a July night, so I guess it was like midnight or so, and the phone booth rings on the street. So I pick it up and I said, "Didn't I tell you never to call me here again?" And the guy said, "As all, just scream out Jody." So I scream out this woman's name, and the window opens. She says, "I'll be right down." So like, okay. Then I left the phone hanging and walked away. Yeah.
Dick Lane was a classic for that because he really never. But did you know Dick Lane? Or
No,
was he? No.
no, he was.
He's a good-looking guy, tall. He was a fighter pilot in World War II,
Wow.
and he spoke 5 languages fluently.
He sold the company back to twice. Right?
Twice.
He sold the company.
I'm going to save you a lot of money. Let's say, yeah, he did. Uh, he was just brilliant, but zany, crazy. He was a recovering alcoholic, first of all, and he spoke all these languages. And just a very literate guy, but crazy, crazy guy. And we used to get a lot of wrong numbers for the Trading Post magazine. I think our digit was one notch off from the Trading Post. We'd get people trying to sell stuff all the time, constantly. And between him and Steve Moore, they would have these guys. They would take all the information, and the item would cost like $300, and he'd put it in the Trading Post for like $30. The guy would get like a zillion calls, to buy this thing, and then they'd get arguments. And then he put our number, and he'd have people call our number, and we'd argue with them Steve Moore did that. He had some guy talking to him, so I can't even remember all the stories. There was one story that John Blaney told me. I wasn't there for it, but apparently some woman called up and asked for a doctor. So Dick said, "Speaking," and the guy said, "My husband has something wrong with his eye. Okay, could you tell me? Can you help him?" He said, "Well, is the eye inflamed? Is it itchy?" He said, "Yes, it is." He said, "All right, close your eye. What can we do to give him some relief?" Do you have any bread? She says, yes. White bread? Yes. Do you have any jelly? Grape jelly? Yes. Is it cold? She said, yes. He said, good, good. Smear the good. This will help him. She said, smear the jelly on the bread, and have him close his eye, and put the jelly against his eye, the cold side against his bread. He can hold on to the bread, and what that'll do is that'll shrink all the capillaries in the eye. So has he done that? Yeah, apparently he did it. He said, okay, rush right down to my office. He said,
Oh,
I would have loved to have been at his office. But he was just so. He would these things would just pop out of him, and I learned from him. I
Yeah.
did a lot of those calls. Yeah, he
yeah,
was a classic.
that's great.
You reminded me of the Steve story. I went to work one day, and there was I sat down, and we had these tall windows. The windows were like 8 feet tall, and hanging from the shade, he had taped a string, and then he taped the string to two plastic glasses. They were taped together, and apparently he caught a fly, pulled the wings off the fly, and put it in the glass. So I walked, I walked to the phone. I sat down with a cup of coffee. I saw the fly walking around, and I could hear him saying, "Any word from the governor?" He's looking for a reaper. So this goes on for like 2 days, and I'm tired of looking at this poor fly. He's looking at me, pleading for death. Please kill me. So I said to Steve, you got to either feed the fly, or kill it, because I can't look at this fly anymore. He said, I would kill it, but it won't sign a confession note. And he opened his drawer and he took out a confession note that said, I confess to crimes against humanity, and had a line for the fly. It said, a fly. And he would put it in front of the glass. Sign it, sign it.
He was twisted, yeah. I'm sure he still is, yeah. It's settled down somewhat.
Nah, very bizarre mind. Yeah, he was just one of many, one
So
of
many
many.
of those crazies, yeah, that popped up.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah,
I mean, the Mosler safe we bought, a 6 foot big orange brand new Mosler safe. I forget how many thousand we spent on it in 1970. And you'd go into the office, and on the wall next to the safe was the combination to the safe.
because nobody could remember it.
I couldn't. Yeah, that's why it was there.
That's right.
Yeah, it was Animal House Comes to Wall Street. It was.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope you guys are enjoying these stories, because the market's doing what it's going to do, and we talked about it all week. So
I remember the painting that Bob had done with the pigs around the tree.
I had that for like 30 years. I lost
Right.
it when I moved.
Yeah.
It was all pigs. It was Mike, the snake, was dating
Okay.
an artist,
An
and
artist.
she did it. She did it. Had all these pigs with wristwatches on at the trading terminal.
And they had the captions, mine, yours, and all
Yeah,
of that.
yeah. And there were phone numbers on the wall. And Bob looked at it. He said, I wonder if any of these numbers work. He stood.
You mentioned the fly. You mentioned Henry the other day and the fly. I remember walking into that office one day, and there were black marks all over the wall.
Rubber bands.
And so Henry, he gets flies, and he would like, bing, shoot the rubber bands and kill them on the wall. And
He was brilliant. It was deadly. He was deadly.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to put a target up with circles for him. He was just deadly. He would kill flies with the rubber band. Yeah.
yeah,
He was just. Yeah, there was a lot of things missing from Henry.
yeah.
Yeah. A nun came in one time looking for donations, and he said, "No, I gave it home." She was in the office. He was really a strange guy.
There was so many of those crazies.
Yeah.
Tommy Mallon. I mean, Tommy was
You'd go to work because you didn't want to miss anything.
right.
You
Yeah,
just to see what's going on. Something's
Right.
going to happen. It was fun. We worked hard and we played way too hard.
Eddie Carr, right? All of those characters.
I remember Rubber Chicken hanging from the ceiling in our first office there, the first Lasser office. And I stuck a pencil in the chicken. And somebody said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking the chicken's temperature." And Eddie said, "What's the chicken's temperature?" And Nick pulled the pencil out. He said, "The chicken's temperature is 2." It was
Oh, yeah.
uh,
All good stuff. All good stuff.
all
Great
right.
memories,
Well, I'll
right?
talk to you Monday. Stay out of trouble over
All
the
right,
weekend.
you too. Great
All right.
job. Bye.